Welcome back to another Marvel Legends UK review. We are now going to be looking at the Uncanny X-Men Madripoor Wolverine from the Vintage Retro X-Men wave. Back with another Marvel Legends review, and again another review on yet another Wolverine. This year I think we've been hit over the head with a bat several times with different Wolverine and Logan figures. This one is the Madripoor Wolverine from a specific run in the comics. He does come with the Muramasa Blade, which I don't know if you're too familiar about, but this is basically like a poisonous blade to Wolverine. It's the only blade that could potentially kill him without revival. So it's quite interesting to see him come with that blade. In the actual package as well, it comes with a couple of hands, which aren't the snicked hands. They are plain, look like they can hold an actual blade. Overall, the figure does look quite nice. He's going to be another one that I add to my shelf. On the back, as you can see, done in the old retro form. We have already reviewed Storm, we've also reviewed Iceman, and we've also reviewed the Silver Samurai. Just going to zoom in on the bio there if you can read it. Again, it says Wolverine is the X-Men's greatest fighter, a master of all forms of hand-to-hand combat. Wolverine also has a fearsome secret weapon, razor-sharp retractable adamantium claws that can slice through anything. So yeah, again with the vintage retro wave figures, they come on these new blister packs. Really good for stopping thieves who like to pinch the Build-A-Figure pieces, but it's just unfortunate that this wave didn't actually come with the Build-A-Figure itself. The orangey red colour indicates that he is a good guy, and like we said on the Silver Samurai review, the one that come in the purpley green one, to indicate the villains. So what I'm going to do now, and they are pretty difficult to get into, these packs, I'm going to rip him open and then have a look at the figure in more detail. So here he is, Wolverine, at the packaging, and when I say these packaging new blister cards are really difficult to get into, literally you have to rip them open in order to access the figure. Very difficult indeed. Like I said, the figure comes with a couple of accessories. Straight out of the box, we've got the Muramasa Blade, which is done in a complete black plastic. Bit surprised they went down this route with the sword being in a single black plastic after we've seen the Silver Samurai where it's completely done in silver and then we have a black hilt, so I'm not too sure why they've done this sword completely in black, as from my knowledge of the comics I don't ever remember the Muramasa Blade being completely black, so that's quite an interesting approach. Obviously if you wanted to recreate the scene with the Muramasa Blade impaling Logan, you don't necessarily have to use this sword, but yeah, it's a nice sword. The hilt itself is very similar to the Silver Samurai. It's different to the Deadpool katanas that we've had before, but as you can see, this blade is incredibly long. When we actually compare it to another blade, if you just give me 1 second, we get the Silver Samurai. If we have a look at the Silver Samurai blade, as you can see, this is the longest sword from Silver Samurai. This sword is, if we go from hilt to hilt, obviously you won't be able to tell if it's that way around because of the optical illusion, but if you go hilt to hilt, in fact, the hand grips are completely different. But this black sword is about 1/4 of an inch longer, so that's quite interesting to see. Again, with the actual figure itself, you get the interchangeable hands, just standard black gripping hands, both come on a hinge joint. Nothing too spectacular about those. So yeah, done in a solid black paint, and then onto the figure. I don't know what to think about the head sculpt. He does look good snarling. I would probably prefer this head sculpt over the gurning head sculpt that we got with, let's say, the Rider's figure. I think he has got a bit more expression. Obviously he's got the Madripoor mask on there as well. Nice to see the arm hair painted. What I'm finding really frustrating at the minute with the Logan or Wolverine figures is that some come with painted arms and some don't. I don't get why we're not just applying paint to every single Logan's arms, because obviously it is pretty easy to do. But the actual figure is done in a solid black plastic right the way through. Standard articulation that we get with any Wolverine figure. It has got the butterfly joints in there, so that's good. That opens up nice. There's not really much to say about the figure in the paint apps other than the arms are painted, because it is just a solid black figure. It does look nice, it's aesthetically pleasing in hand. The head sculpt's done really well. Like I said, I will prefer the head sculpt without this paint, and I did think it might have been the same head as the Weapon X head sculpt, but obviously he's a bit more, let's just say, wild when it comes to the hair. So the hair is actually a little bit more trimmed on this one. But the snarl and everything looks the same, but as you can see, the head sculpt does look phenomenal. It probably looks more like a Wolverine or a Logan than the other head sculpts that we have had. Standard articulation, that we see in every Wolverine. 360 at the arms. Shoulders go out this far. Oh, hang on, does that go any further? Shoulders will only go out that far. Not too sure if that's hindered by, yeah, hindered by this piece of plastic here. Doesn't let much go any further, it's digging in. We've got a double jointed elbow, which you can see is 90 degrees. Spinning that way, there you go. Bicep swivel, hands are on a hinge, and then just going back to the hands, actually, if we pop this one out, the cuff is a little rubber cuff, so that can come off, so you can display them without that if you chose to. And the other hand, which is the non-snick version, fits nice and snug into the hole. That's cool. The blades on the actual claw, as you can see, they always come out a little bit warped. I'm quite looking forward to opening the X-Force Wolverine, as they do come with a different set of claws, so it'd be good to compare those. The legs, the articulation in the legs, standard Marvel Legend Wolverine, cut at the thigh, double jointed knees, and then we've got the standard rotation on the foot. I'm in two minds about this figure, how well he's going to do when it comes to sales. It is a Wolverine figure. Like I said, there are better Wolverine figures out there, especially if you're not too familiar with this specific run in the comics. But all in all, he's a really, really nice figure. Really good looking figure to have to the collection, and I think he poses well next to the Silver Samurai. What I'm going to do now is throw in a couple of other Wolverines to do comparisons aside. So here we go, comparing the Madripoor Wolverine to a couple of other Wolverines that we've already had. Like I said, we've been hit around the head, I feel, over the last 12 months with numerous Wolverines. In fact, this isn't even all my Wolverines that I've actually got. Weapon X is in a makeshift customised diorama. But yeah, going back to the size and head sculpt, as we can see, the original Wolverine that we were getting from Hasbro a few years ago, I think maybe back in 2014, was like the Put Wave Wolverine, which was from the Astonishing run, which was a little bit taller than the current Wolverine run that we are getting now. I think, I don't know why, but maybe they actually increased the size of the Wolverine character to coincide with the actor Hugh Jackman for the Wolverine films. As you can see, back to back he is slightly taller. If we have a look at one of the more recent ones, we've got the Days of Future Past Wolverine that came with the Sentinel. They never actually sold this figure on its own, but I've got a feeling they might do in the near future, Sentinel aside. And this is that Gurning head sculpt that I was talking about, so it's more of an angry, snarling head sculpt compared to the I'm going to absolutely rip your head off kind of head sculpt that we're getting from the new one. I much prefer this, whereas this one is in between the relaxed look and the screaming berserker look. But when I think of Wolverine, he's either in this state of mind or he's just got a really disapproving look on him. The other one we've got, is this head is from the actual tag stripe Wolverine, but it does sit on my vintage body. The colours aren't too far off. But again, we've got another gurning kind of Wolverine. I think I'd have preferred it with the open mouth rather than just the growling look. So yeah, that was that one. Again, done in the same sculpt. The belts are different. The one on the Madrapoor Wolverine is a slightly slimmer version from the looks of it. It looks slimmer. I don't know if it's just because it's black. Maybe if we painted the belt buckle gold, it would probably look the same size, but from first glances at looking at it. In fact, it probably is the same piece, but looking at it side, you know, front arm, this one does look a little bit slimmer, so maybe black is slimming. Don't know if that's the case. Then we've got patch on the Riders Wolverine. I won't be surprised if we got a tuxedo Wolverine in some way, shape or form in the near future where we can utilise his head sculpt. I mean, it does look good on the motorbike, but again, it's a head sculpt one I'm not too overly fussed about. I think if he came in a 2-pack with Mr. Fix-It, I think it would change my opinion massively on the actual figure itself, but at the moment the patch Wolverine is currently on the bike on his own shelf, not really mixing in with any other waves. And obviously we've got the Tiger Stripe Wolverine, which again, like I said, it's been switched. This is the vintage Wolverine head. I prefer the more relaxed look when it comes to displaying him on my 90s shelf, but when you compare it next to the Screaming head, I think if we got something in the Tiger Stripe or the vintage head version with the open mouth, that would look absolutely fantastic for display options. But again, this figure didn't come with painted arms, so I've had to do a few lines on there myself using a biro and a really small hair. As you can see, same arms. Are they the same arms? No, we've got different arms, different biceps. We've got this mad bubble here on the back of the biceps, so they're not the same arms. It's quite interesting. That is the same arm, however. So we've got the same bicep on that one, whereas the Tiger Stripe one, the arms are different. So yeah, the figure's same mould. We've just got a couple of different changes when it comes to the boots and obviously the biceps, the belt as well, the interchangeable belt. All in all though, like I said, it's a really good figure. It's the third one from the wave that we reviewed. This will be up on, I'd say, maybe top 5 of the top 6 retro figures. There is one figure in the wave that I'm not too particularly keen on, which I'll come to reviewing shortly. But yeah, with the Silver Samurai going to be firmly sat in my display, he's going to look pretty good next to the Madripoor Wolverine and the Muramasa Blade. So yeah, that's another review from Marvel Legends UK. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and your comments in the box below. We are going to continue through the vintage wave this week, and then we're going to be moving on to the Wendigo wave. If you're not a part of the Marvel Legends UK face group, click on the link below, join us, let's see your collections, and obviously mix with some like-minded collectors as well. In the meantime, thanks for checking out the channel. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, bye.